What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Real Talk Real Estate. This is the David Greene Show, the biggest, the best, the baddest real estate podcast on the planet. And in today's show, I take questions from you, the Real Talk community, and answer them for everyone to listen, learn, and laugh as we make real estate education fun, entertaining, and dare I say, sexy. Speaking of sexy, I've got Greg Schwartz joining me today. Greg, you mind introducing yourself?
Hey, everybody. Greg Schwartz here in College Station. I've got a portfolio, some rentals, some long-term, some short-term, some mid-term. I'm also an agent. And we're just in real estate 24/7 down here. So excited to be on the show and talk about what's going on in the real estate game.
That's right. Much like you, Greg eats, breathes, drinks, and lives real estate, whether he's owning it or whether he's selling it. And he's joining me today to do a Seeing Green. We recently interviewed him on the Real Talk Realtor podcast. So you can learn more about Greg there after you get a little bit of taste what he's all about. And I think you're going to like today's show. Little reminder, as always, before we get into it. You can go to davidgreen24.com/ask and submit your question to be featured on the show. We can't make the show without your question. So if you've ever been just like on the line, on the fence, should I, shouldn't I? I'm kind of shy. What if the camera angle is not good? Just do it. Like Shia LaBeouf says, just do it. We need you. So head over there, make your video, get on the show, and let's get into it. First question today. By the way, that's like the fastest intro in any podcast. I hate when I turn on a podcast and I got to listen to 9 minutes of people talking about themselves and telling you what they're going to tell you rather than just telling you. All right, our first question comes from Christopher Jackson out of Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Hi, David. My name is Christopher Jackson, and I'm from Port St. Lucie, Florida. I've listened to you since you were on the Bigger Pockets podcast, and I've just been loving the Real Talk Real Estate, the Mortgage Mondays, the Real Talk Realtors, all of them. It's been a joy seeing you run your own thing there. My question for you, I'm interested in becoming a real estate agent, but my ultimate goal is to have a cash flowing business that I can provide for my family, but not have to have the output of money that comes to me be directly tied to my input of work and time invested in it. So my question is two-pronged. Can a real estate brokerage be a cash flowing business for you if you are not working in it? And would a real estate brokerage be treated as a business asset when it comes to like the sale of it, if you are no longer part of that brokerage? Kind of thinking for cash flow on a regular basis for me and my family, and then also kind of a security if something was to happen to me, that my family would be taken care of. Look forward to hearing from you and hearing your answer.
All right. This is a really good question. We can actually dig into this one and be thorough here. The question is, can a real estate brokerage or real estate team be passive income, and can it be then sold to somebody else after you've built it up? This was a really popular question sort of in like 2015, 16, 17, when the market was just cranking along. A lot of people were thinking this way. Greg, you're perfect to answer this question because you understand passive income and active income. What's your thoughts on this?
Yes, it is possible, but like all things that are that level of like sexy, man, you got a long road to get there. So, there's books out there. We talked about earlier, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It lays out what it takes to be the owner, not even the CEO, right? Because you don't get the CEO level of your company. You have to get to owner level. So if you're starting off, I'm about probably a third of the way there in terms of what we're trying to do. And that's create $100,000 to $200,000 of quote unquote passive income. And that means profit. So if you're going to have profit, you have to be making top line of $1 million to $2 million to have 100 to 200K in profit in your business. And profit means the business makes the money. That's your owner draw, right? So I don't want to tell them no, because it can be done. But to think that you're gonna start off as an agent and next year, by the end of the year, step back and be making 60, 70, 100K passively, that's gonna be a tough one. And then in terms of selling, we know that can be done too, but it's not a very sellable business. I think you'd probably agree, but I know you have a high level perspective. What do you think, David?
The problem with this strategy, to compare it to investing, is once you own an asset, like you own a property, no one can take it away from you. The challenge is you sort of have to treat it like a garden where you still got to like pull weeds occasionally, water it. You're going to have to put a little bit of money into the asset. You're going to have vacancies. You're going to have issues, but they're relatively minor. And that asset is protected by the U.S. government. You've got title. A business is way, way different. There is always someone trying to steal your clients, your customers, and your employees. When you start a real estate, let's just start like the bottom level and work up here. You're a real estate agent. You sell a house for someone. We tend to think of it like that's my client. No, that was your client. They are not your client. You have to earn the next listing or the next buy. And do you want to share some of the things, Greg, that just like generally speaking, someone has to do if they work with a client and they want to work with them again in the future?
Yeah, you have to stay in front of them 20. You have to make sure that they see you as much as you see Starbucks.
That's good.
So, man, when you're like, hey, I want a coffee. My daughter, she's 3, never had Starbucks. Dad, I want Starbucks. Because she sees it everywhere, right? Her teacher has the cup, everything like that. You think of coffee, you think of Starbucks. But as a single agent, you are not on Starbucks level. So you have to be in front of the clients you are working with at that level of consistency to maintain, and that's just to maintain that business. But then, David, you said it, you have to grow it. And if you're not growing, you're dying because your clients are also, there's other coffee shops out there. They're trying to get your clients' attention. Your clients are going to forget about you. They don't need you for a while. Then they need you again. You're constantly fighting. And part of that fight is you have to be involved in the fight as the owner to keep it alive. So I do think when you go pure passive, it's going to start to stagnate or die unless you're in there juicing it. So to think that you can just, forget about business for 5 years, come back and it's still running, that's going to be tough to do.
That is very well said. It's a great point. So the first element of work is the time you put into staying in front of them.
Right.
You're talking to this human all the time, whether you like them or not. You're emailing, you're texting, you're running into them at events, you're scheduling things to accidentally bump into this person. It's like very similar to when you like a girl and you're like, all right, I got to win her over, but there's a lot of guys and I can't creep her out. So like, how much can I talk without it being too much? If I don't go enough, some other guy's going to sneak in there. But if I go too much, it's annoying. Most women probably
don't weird them out.
You can't weird them out, but you also can't act like you don't care. Right. And to the woman, she has no idea that guys even think about this. To them, it's like, it was just so natural. Like, we just got along. We had chemistry. Like, it's kind of like how a 5-year-old perceives at their birthday. It just happened. I just woke up one day and I had a party planned.
All my friends were here.
It's my favorite cartoon was on my cake. What do you know? Right. Like, that's the same dynamic agents have with clients. We got to structure this whole thing and get you in our newsletter and be there for you when you have questions and answer your questions about maintenance of your home and what interest rates are doing and what the market's doing and what the house down the street sold for. And there's no guarantee that you're going to use us. You think we just love these conversations. Like the girl thinks the guy just likes to stop by and talk about This Is Us or something. Guys don't like that. He wants to talk about football. He can't talk about football with you because you're a girl. So he's got to do the thing. It's the same thing with the clients, right? So that's one element. And then there's actually money that goes into that. We got to pay for a CRM. We got to pay for marketing plans. We have to do things to stay in front of you that are like put events together, client appreciation events. And that's the free stuff. Then you got to think about like the fact that you have to stay sharp. You got to still be the best option they perceive when they want to sell their house. If they met somebody else, like he's a cool guy, but that guy, he's an Italian stuntman. He's a better dude than this guy, right? Like that guy's on the billboards. He's not just in the newsletters. I saw him all over Facebook. I heard other people talk about that agent's really good. No offense, Greg, you're nice, but that guy's hot. You're dealing with this issue, right? And these are the sellers. Now, you want to talk about buyers, it's even more so. You may do all this work to be able to represent them, and then you represent them, and you drive them all over the place using your gas, your time, your money, and they don't ever buy a house, okay?
Right.
This is a business where you are always in competition, like you said, with everyone else. If someone just opens their phone and looks at how many real estate agents they have in there, it'll shock you. They're not my clients. They're not your clients. They are people that we constantly have to win the right to use. So there's nothing passive about that. And that's just the clients. Like now the next step you go is the employees that you have. You get a good employee that you work super hard to train and you went through 10 bad ones to find the one good one. You've lost all your money. Well, guess what? When I come across that employee, I'm like, dang, they're squared away. I'd like them to work for me. Right. And everyone else is thinking the same thing. So people are always trying to pinch off your best people that you spent all that time, energy, and money trying to develop. Then you want to have a brokerage.
Because there's not a lot of really good ones out there. I mean, like in the market I'm in, it's a short list of those folks that I would want working for me and producing on a passive level. Well, everybody in my market knows those people.
Yeah, there's like a labor shortage of qualified people, period. Like you just said. Yeah. Now you're throwing in skill and integrity and a passion and a desire to work where they're not constantly trying to get out of working. Oh, that's a hot commodity, man. Everybody's going to be looking for that. Now you get a brokerage. You build up a brokerage. You got 20 agents working for you. You're thinking of it like it's passive income. It's not. Those agents are getting poached and recruited by all the other people that are starting brokerages.
So now you're recruiting agents 24/7.
And someone's recruiting the ones you got. You're constantly filling water in a bucket to watch it come out. And if you stop putting more water in, you won't have anything in the bucket. Right. And if you put a bunch of water in, it's still going to drain out from some of what you had. And this is just my subjective take. Not everyone looks at it the same way. I think it's pretty toxic what's happened with real estate brokerages in the last 10 years. We went from work at this brokerage because we have better training, we have better support, we have better transaction coordinators, we have better meetings, we have marketing stuff that we can give you to help you be better. That shifted to, we will give you stock options, we will give you bells and whistles. The last one that I talked to was like, hey, we pay for car washes if you come hang your license here. Like anything they can do to get agents to go hang a license at that brokerage. And then there's a cap where you only have to pay so much money, and then the cap keeps going down. And the game has become, how do we have more perks for you than anyone else, but then less training? Right. So you have more agents that are all asking the question of what's in it for me, and then never really excelling in their profession because there's no accountability, there's no training, there's no one yelling at you when you screwed up, right? You were in the Marines. Getting yelled at is part of being good at something.
Right.
There's no way around that. People don't like it. We call that toxic. But when someone has a higher standard for you than you have for yourself, that's what makes you a better person. And
towards greatness,
yeah, that's exactly right. And there's not many opportunities in life where there's a human that is willing to see more in Greg than what Greg saw in himself and hold him to a higher standard than he was comfortable with and bring the best out of Greg, which I've never met a human being on the other side of that who regretted it. They all say, I'm glad that I met this person, but there's less and less people like that. Okay. This is the truth about the environment for real estate sales that we are talking about. That's a pretty big uphill climb, right? From my perspective. You're trying to take that environment and turn it passive. I don't see how you possibly do that. You will turn your back and someone will come steal the tomatoes out of your garden and they'll go for the biggest, juiciest, ripest ones first. It's the opposite. You're staying up all night guarding these tomatoes, and these tomatoes are driving you nuts, calling you at 9:30 at night because they were not diligent with learning how a contract worked, but now there's an emergency because they need to write an offer. And you feel like if you don't pick up the phone and talk to them, they're going to go somewhere else. And those tomatoes are not producing, but you still have to pay for the seat of that their CRM is costing you, and their E&O insurance is costing you, and the office space if you're going to have an office that you're renting. All of that's costing money. They're not selling any houses, and when they do, they're complaining about the commission split. I'm not trying to deter people from doing it. Yeah. I'm saying recognize this is what you are getting into if you want to get into this space. Right. The minute you take the hand-holding of a W-2 job out, I think a lot of people get hit in the face by a bucket of cold water of what the 1099 world is really like. What's your thoughts?
Right. So, yeah, I agree. I think if his goal is the passive side of things, what I like about the business is as a single agent, you get good at it. We've got AI now. We've got systems. You can do 40. Hey, we got an single agent with one virtual assistant who does 60 transactions a year by herself. She's freaking phenomenal at it. She's super, like her take home is a huge percentage, right? She's probably taking home 60, 70% of her GCI, her gross commission income. So man, if you could leverage that, if you don't have anything, you're starting off with nothing, you want to build something, leverage this into a way to create income. It's not passive, but then take that income and put it into something that could be passive. Maybe it's, I don't know, dry cleaners are one of the ones that come top of mind. Car washes, you could invest in, you can even go like the Airbnb route, something like that, if you want to stay within real estate. But to think that a real estate agent business is going to be the passive business you want it to be, I think it's going to be an uphill climb.
Let me ask you a tough question, and I'm not looking for an answer either way. I'm genuinely curious. This is going to anger some people. Is the idea of passive anything realistic in almost every situation in life?
I don't think passive is nearly as sexy as people want it to be. Let me start there. So my grandfather, one of the happiest guys I know, worked until he couldn't drive because he loved the work. He learned to love it. And he lived to be well into his late 90s. And I think that some of that is, and my dad right now, he's 70. No intent to retire anytime soon. He doesn't want passive income. He wants to earn it. He loves that. So I think that one, passive income has been played off as this like great ending to your life or great way to live your life. And I don't think it's worth it there. But no, I think that there's a leveraged. Basically, you can create more money per hour at a certain job, right? So a surgeon is going to make more money per hour. Granted, they work their living, as not an easy profession to get into and make money at. But when you get to the top, yeah, you're pretty leveraged. You don't work nearly as much as someone else to make the same amount of money. But no, real estate's not. The only thing passive about real estate is the appreciation. Everything else, which is a lot of things, is very active.
Yeah, I think about passive fitness. Is that possible? Can you get really fit and just be like, all right, I'm done.
Those machines from back in the day, those girls get on there.
It shakes you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. What about like a passive, healthy relationship, right? Like I worked really hard. I got her to marry me. She fell in love with me.
And then just stop. Don't buy roses. Don't tell her you love her. Nothing.
Don't keep pursuing her. You ever heard of a woman that's like, I love it. My husband won me over. He won. He can retire. Probably not. I actually hear complaints about that quite a bit. He used to try. Now he doesn't try. Passive business, like we just said, the minute you stop looking, someone's going to steal what you got. Right. They're going after it, right? That's actually happens with a lot of guys in their relationships. They stop trying. Some sneaky dude comes up. He sees you're not trying. He steals your girl. Right. Passive investments can work if you still need some kind of advantage, though. You bought into a market that other people can't get into. You were able to get an asset at an incredibly good price. It's just super rare to get this. And so being in this business for 15 years now and seeing how many people have chased passive income and not got it, I think I've taken funny your answer is exactly where I was going to go. You're better off to try to kill the part of you that wants passive income and instead look for passion income, which I just made up right now. Brandon Turner.
I like it. I like it.
I literally tell people you're better off to fall in love with the thing you're doing. Like fall in love with pursuing that girl because you like that girl so much than the idea of I don't want to have to take her out on dates. Like, no, find a person you really like. Find a person you like leading. Find a person you want to help mold and develop and guide and improve. And then you will never get tired of doing it. Find work you like doing. Like the surgeon, like you said, they use leverage. They work less and get paid more. But they earn the right to do that because they ate ish for a long time to get so good, right? That was not passive.
And they maintain that quality, right? It's not just like, again, to the same point, you don't become the best surgeon and then you can do one surgery once a year and make $100,000 doing it. No, like they are practicing their craft constantly so that they can maintain the level of being the best surgeon.
And if that's the reality of how life works, that we have to all swallow this pill at some point, life is not going to give you a passive relationship or passive fitness or passive income. Your best bet would be, how do you enjoy the process, like you said, of holding a high standard? How do you fall in love with, like, I just hit a personal record. How do I push it to the next level, right? How do I get around people that push it up? That is actually achievable. It's a better road to walk. In my mind, it's the loving thing to tell people. It is not possible. You will not make millions of dollars selling courses about passion income, right? You tell people passive income, they'll get really excited about that. And to put a bow on it, when you think about the things in life that come easy, they always have a high price tag associated with them later. You want to feel really good? You want to do cocaine? It's going to have a price tag associated with it.
Yeah, the
at the end.
hangovers can kick in after the party, right? Yeah.
I just saw this really sad video about the percentage of young women in college that are like literally dropping out of college to start an OnlyFans because of how much money they're making. Not understanding that is a very tiny window that will not last you very long. And the price tag of that is going to be incredibly high. That just does not make sense to their 20-year-old brain that easy is not better. But that's a tough row to hoe when you live in a culture that's advertising constantly telling people the easier path.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my advice to you, my man. I would probably not embark on building a real estate team or brokerage to get passive income. What I would advise is when you jump in like I did, you work your butt off, that you already know. You find the things you like and the things you don't. Okay. So I did not love dropping off the key on closing day. I'm like the only realtor in the history of the world that hates that day. I'm like, oh, there's so much emotion. It's awkward for me, man. I don't like it.
Do you take the picture? Let's take the picture.
And then I got to put on social media with a big fake smile and I'm cringing the whole time. Like, I don't like getting all this attention. I like getting them the gift. I like getting them the house. I like negotiating it. I like solving all the things that the other realtors hate that bring conflict. I enjoyed that. I feel like that's why I'm here. That's why I'm getting paid. But the touchy-feely stuff was not my thing. So what I did was I put systems together that made me efficient, gave different tasks to different people based on their skill sets, built a team, and then trained the agents to do the thing that they like doing, right? Yeah. So I'm kind of like the surgeon in that sense where I'm making more money, but it was not passive income. It just was this, I didn't have to do the stuff I hated. I didn't have to cold call somebody. Instead, I went and started a podcast and I wrote books and I held meetups and I educated people on building wealth in real estate, which I liked doing. And I converted that into clients for the company. That is possible for everybody. Some people love showing homes. Some people don't. Some people love marketing. Some people don't. Real estate is awesome, real estate sales, in the sense that you can find something in it that you like doing and you can find other people that will do the things you don't.
Right.
Yeah. You got a team going on yourself. Like, would you co-sign that, or do you think that there's something I'm missing there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, we hit it right there. Is if he likes the idea of real estate, if he wants to be a real estate agent and build a business, which I think is, I'm doing it, right? So like, obviously I believe in it. Just make sure that he's doing it for the right reasons, because I think that's where burnout comes from. And like you said, we're hiring out the things I'm not good at organization. My wife and my TC do all that. I'm not good at the gifts. So, a week before closing, I turn to my wife and go, what gift do we have for him? And honestly, she's not too good either. So, the local wineries are go-to, right? Like, here's a gift card in a bottle of wine. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of the business. And that's the beauty of any business, right? You can go through it and figure out what it is you're good at, what actually makes you money, and lean into that.
Yeah, you might hear me start saying the phrase passion income. I really like that idea because that's actually been a prayer for me in my own life right now, that I would, because I've had to hire some people that just, if I'm being frank, did not like working. Yeah. And it is a tough life when your customers and your clients and the people that are coming to you to buy a house or coming to you to stay at your short-term rental, and they have expectations of what they're going to get, and your employee does not like having to talk to them. Right. Like, I don't know what you say. Like, if you don't like romance or love, you're not going to like being in a marriage. Like, that's what the other person's looking for. And I just realized I never want to become like that. I never want to hate working. I just pray God would give me a passion for what I'm doing. That is what I'm afraid of losing. When I lose the drive and the fire and the love of learning and the love of service, that sounds like hell. Working should never get to the point where you hate that. Good deal. That's a really good question. All right. Thanks for that, Greg. Next up, from Ella K in Washington State. Hello, David. I am Ella from Washington State. I'm considering using equity for my rental property to boost the down payment on a new primary home. I can put 10% down now, but would like to reach 40% to lower the monthly mortgage. Since I can't afford extra loan payments, I'm looking at Point, a shared equity program, or Unlock for equity access without monthly repayment. The target home would ideally have stronger appreciation potential than my rental and a basement/ADU for house hacking. For now, I'm in a company-sponsored property and plan to move once that ends. What do you think of this approach in today's market? Thank you for your guidance. Greg, do you have any experience with these programs?
Not the specific programs. Immediately when people want to tap into equity right now, I don't know if you saw, I get a little jittery. She's doing it to lower her cost of living. So if we just talk like personal finance, and this is where my brain goes, is what is your net in and your out, right? So like if we're lowering expenses, I'm okay with it, but tapping into equity, increasing leverage on an investment property, which presumably she's a buy and hold investor. I'm making some assumptions here, but we want that property 20 years from now because we know there's wealth at the end of that rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Leverage increases the risk and increases the chance you don't get to the end of the rainbow. So, I got more questions than I have answers, but immediately when people want to tap into equity, I get jittery. I want to make sure that we have a good foundation and a very high chance of getting to the end of the rainbow. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so my understanding of these programs is you're basically selling them equity in your house. You're not taking out a loan. So a loan is someone gives you money and it's secured by equity in your home. Right. So if you don't pay the loan back, they get to take the house. This is different. They're not giving you money that you have to pay back as installment payments. Yeah, you're giving away ownership. You're selling a portion of your company or your asset in this case, which is your house. So you get some money back, which I think she's wanting to use for the down payment, if I understand correctly here from Ella. And then when you sell, that's when they cash out. These were really popular when equity was growing like crazy.
Yeah.
Equity's not growing like crazy, so I don't know how many of these loan programs are floating around. It's one of those things where like my gut says there's got to be some fine print that.
Where's the strings?
Yeah.
Where's the strings? So it's a partnership, right? I mean.
I don't love it. And I don't love that the motive is to get a lower payment by wanting to put 40% down. If you're buying a primary residence, the benefit to you is you can put less money down. I would prefer to just look for a house you can afford without having to jump through all these hoops to get in there. I'm guessing the problem is she's from Washington State where real estate's expensive.
And there was the other question I had is, like here in Texas, I know your homestead has a lot of advantages to it. So I am, in that case, I'd like to have more equity in my homestead possibly because, creditors can't come after it, things like that. So there's some advantages there. There's a lot of questions I have. The other option is with that investment property is if she wants to tap into some of it, you sell and just buy a cheaper, if you sell it and you could, get $60K out of it, take $30K towards your house, whatever it might be. I'm also not a huge fan of partners, especially when they're corporate and they're going to have a lot of fine print in a very well-written legal document that you're going to sign.
This is one of those questions where I'm always afraid I'm going to get one on Seeing Greene that I don't know how to answer. And I can sort of give the political answer where I say a bunch of words without answering it. I'd rather just acknowledge. I don't really know. Yeah. And it could be good. I don't want to say don't do it. My spidey senses are saying there's probably something here you want to avoid. Yeah. But I would need to look into it more, which I don't have enough information here. So Ella, actually, how about this? If you're hearing this and you understand at a high level how these systems work and you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, go to davidgreen24.com/ask, submit a video saying, I'd like to be on the podcast and talk about this thing that David mentioned. Or if you have my contact information, contact me directly on Instagram, Facebook Messenger, email, whatever it is, let me know. Because I'd like to interview somebody to learn about these and see if there is a situation where this could be appropriate. Tool. Yes.
Yeah, maybe it's the right tool for the right. Yeah. You got a hammer and you got a saw right now. Let's add a screwdriver. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. So yeah, let us know. If you're listening to this and you want to get a hold of me directly, there's an easy way to do so. You go to davidgreen24.com and use the chat feature to send me a message right away. Now, if I'm looking at my phone and I see it, I'll usually reply. If I'm not looking at my phone, I haven't figured out how to get the notifications turned on for this app. So sometimes my reply speed is a little bit slower. But the cool thing is you can let me know if you're looking for a loan, if you're looking for someone to manage a short-term rental, if you're looking to be featured on the podcast, if you're looking for a book, whatever you're looking for, you can get a hold of me directly and I'll get you in touch with the right people. So head to davidgreen24.com and use that chat feature. All right, moving on to the next segment of the show. We're going to take a quick break before we get into comments and quick hitters, where I want to tell you guys about my new venture that I'm very excited to release, that I'm very excited to announce, Coast to Coast Real Estate. I've got a nationwide brokerage that I am in the process of launching, and we are now live in the states of California and Virginia. So if you are a real estate agent that is looking for better training and kind of the opposite of what Greg and I mentioned earlier with predatory, vampiric brokerages that are promising you the world and then never actually give you the tools that you need to be good at your job, you should consider joining us at Coast to Coast Real Estate and getting training directly from me to help clients educate yourself on real estate and grow your business successfully. Want to know more about it? Look me up on Instagram, send me a DM. I'll get you all the information there. Also, if you're a broker in a different state and you're interested in hanging your license with us and overseeing the agents that you're seeing, we do have a system there. It's not passive income, but it is additional income where you can make money for performing brokerage duties in your state. And that's my plan for how we're going to expand. So send me a message and let's talk about that too. All right, next up, we've got comments and quick hitters. This is your hot takes, viral headlines, and real estate rumors that are worth a lightning round response. So let's go. First off, from James Flanagan, great show, insightful discussion regarding Mortgage Monday. Not much you can say there, Greg. So let me ask you, do you watch Mortgage Mondays?
I do.
Wow. What are your thoughts on it?
People need to understand what's going on in the mortgage environment. And I think that tying it into the global economy and understanding that is the same as understanding investments. So being educated on that, wherever you get that education, I think that's a great source for it, to holistically understand what the heck is going on. Don't just get the updates. Don't look at the headlines. Hey, mortgage rates are up or they're down or they're crashing. Know why. Understand the ins and outs so that you make smart investment decisions.
That's good. When you watch it, are there topics that you feel are more valuable or things that we cover that you like more than others?
I mean, I'm a junkie for anything around the economy. I think it's been a hot topic lately, but yeah, I love anything on the
big picture.
Big picture, U.S. economy, what the Fed's doing, why. It's a complicated puzzle, and I like getting my updates.
I think that's really wise. The longer I've been in real estate, this is weird, the more I realize it has less to do with the actual technical details of every individual property and a lot more to do with what the economy is doing overall. Yeah. I hate saying that because it would be nicer to create this delusion that if I execute the plan correctly, I will do well. And if I don't, I will fail. I've just seen so much data that proves when the economy is crushing it, housing is crushing it, and rents go up and values go up and vacancy goes down and everything gets easier. And when the economy gets worse, nobody wants to go rent an apartment. Everybody kind of like shares housing. Values are not going up. Rents are not going up. Tenants are looking for everything that they can do to get out of paying their rent. It just makes it so much harder. So to your point, following what's going on at a macroeconomic level is probably the wisest thing you could do when it comes to deciding when to make your bet, right? You get a pair of aces, you're playing that hand no matter what. You come across a great deal, buy the house. But sometimes you're like, is a pair of tens worth getting in, or does someone else maybe have a better hand? And that's why you want to know what's going on with the economy. We do cover that on Mortgage Monday. If you guys are listening to it on YouTube, please keep doing so. But no, occasionally when we have a really good conversation going on, we try to keep those Mortgage Mondays to like 20 to 30 minutes. Usually we want to be on the shorter side. But if we have more of a discussion, jump over to the actual Apple or Spotify feeds, because Christian and I will have extended editions of Mortgage Monday that we air on the podcast channel so we can keep the YouTube channel short. It's odd how many complaints I get whenever you get like a YouTube video that's over 32 minutes. People like it short and sweet.
Yes.
Next comment. David, I miss your humor on BP. I just found out yesterday that you're not with them no more. Glad I found your new channel. Greg, anything you want to say about that?
We found you, David. We found you. we got you now. You're back in our lives. Thank you for that.
I had to dig for a little bit. I'm glad to be found. Thank you for that. Let's see. Art says, if I switch brokers, I will get an automatic flow down. So either that broker that I'm working with chooses to float it down. Oh, he meant float down. Or I go to the one that gives me the better price and rate. This was in regards to a show we did on when you should lock your rate and how to make that decision. What's your thoughts when it comes to like finding the cheapest broker you can get, whether that's a mortgage company offering you a lower rate or a real estate broker offering you a discounted commission? Let's just be completely honest here.
I've got a client who's probably going to have to extend closing this week because the title company, myself, and him, so his client, the agent that's helping him with this deal, and the title company can't get in touch with him, the appropriate documents, so that we can get these folks to be able to sign remotely and close on a house on time, despite repeated efforts to make the contact. The interest rate is better, but if this is a deal, the deal could fall apart. So what's the point of an interest rate if you don't have the deal? People overlook how much goes into getting to closing, and they chase the interest rate. They chase saving a few bucks. Then you could lose the whole thing. So don't think that the rate is everything. It is a small portion of, or the fee. It's a small portion of what goes into finding you the best deal.
We do talk about that a lot too, like the dynamics of what's going on behind the curtains with loan brokerages. And if you're trying to get a lot of business, the easiest thing to do is to advertise as a broker the lowest possible rate you can get. Everybody will run there. And like to your point, they will think, oh, everybody's the same. I just want the cheapest
commodity.
one. Correct. They're usually new to the business, don't know what they're doing, suck eggs. And that's why they're offering this really low thing. Then they get flooded with inquiries. They're not organized. They don't know how to tell if it's going to work or not. They have you fill out a loan application. They shove a really dirty file to a lender and then wait for conditions to come back and then just pass that to you. What a good loan officer does is they look at your stuff and they go, that's going to get triggered. That's going to get triggered. That's a red flag. Right. They're going to ask about this. Let's get all that stuff together now so that when they ask these questions, it's already ready, or they don't ask the questions because it was included. That's how you get quick closings. It drags on and on and on when they just wait for the underwriter to send them back 27 things that were missing.
We didn't know.
That's exactly what I didn't know they were going to ask me for that. That's exactly what ends up happening. And to your point, when you put a house under contract, there are time periods that have to be met. And if you keep extending, the seller can tell you to go kick rocks and you can lose your deposit. You can lose all the money you spent.
Now more than ever, because we're talking about contingencies, right? So, hey, that person you're buying from the house, that house you're buying, that seller is buying a house somewhere else. They don't have the ability to extend because they need that house to sell for the next one. So they're gonna, you're literally, you have to pay extra to extend. Hey, because you're screwing them over. And, oh my goodness.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there. The seller's like, hey, well, first off, the buyer's already paid for an appraisal, already paid for inspection, already paid for a pest inspection, already paid for quite a bit of the expenses that go into checking out the house. So they're several $1,000s in. Then the seller says, if you want me to extend your contingency, it's going to cost this much money, or you got to waive the contingency so you don't lose the house. Now you're at no contingency, so your deposit's not protected, and the close of escrow is coming and you can't close. The lender doesn't have clear to close. There's no money to buy the house. So now you're throwing money at them to try to incentivize them not to kick you out of contract so you don't lose the money. And it is way more than if you had just used a reputable lender that knows their stuff and gets paid.
Just get to closing. Just get to closing.
Yep. My strategy when it comes to trying to save money is use the best person you can get and then negotiate something from the seller with the inspection or something. Like I always found better luck if there was a problem with the house that was not disclosed. They got it in the disclosures. It's really tough to get money back for that. But if the roof is in bad shape and they didn't disclose it, if there's HVAC and it wasn't on the disclosures that there's an issue with that, you go get money, you take that money and use it to buy your rate down. And now you get the better rate that the seller paid for and you don't risk losing the entire deal.
Yep.
Good deal there. All right, from Drop Top Campers Rental. My personal insight is that this winter may be one of the best buying opportunities that we've seen in the last couple of years for most markets. If rates don't go down meaningfully, it's going to be a fantastic December/January to purchase. What do you think?
Oh, I can speak to my local market because that's what I know. We have more houses on the inventory than we've had in the last 10 years. And rates in the low sixes are about as good as we've seen over the last 3 years. I think there's about 4 other times we've been steadily below 6.5. So if we look at that, we say the most houses to choose from that we've seen in 10 years. So lots of options. You can find the perfect house and rates are relatively low. it's a pretty good time to buy. When you combine both of those things, if you were putting a metric on those, hey, rates were lower, but there was no options. Good-ish time to buy if you could find something. And then, there's a lot of inventory, but rates were high. So good-ish time to buy. You could find something, but you couldn't afford it on monthly payment. Now we're getting kind of a sweet spot where you can afford it. It's not great, but there's a lot to choose from. I'm a really big fan of right now. I don't know how long it's going to last, but right now we're getting some really good deals done.
People also forget a couple years ago, you could get, if you got a house under contract at all, you won.
Yeah.
You're going way over ask.
You just throw everything at it.
That's it. Everything that you got.
You want my shirt? Here, whatever you need. Just give me the house.
They're like, you could do an inspection, but you're losing your deposit if you back out. Like there was nothing you could get. And I think that in real estate, we tend to move from fear to greed. It's like, I'm really greedy, then I'm really afraid, then I'm really greedy. The people that do well follow Warren Buffett's advice, where when everybody else is greedy, they're nervous. When everybody else is nervous, they're aggressive. And you look for the best locations and the best assets. So there you have it, folks. Greg thinks that College Station is a really good place and time to buy. Last question of the quick hitters from Guso Feely Real Estate. I hear too many people talk about cap rate with single families. I don't think it was made for that, honestly. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Greg, what's your thoughts when people throw around the phrase cap rate when talking about a duplex?
I don't like cap rates at all. But I get it. I get the need for it in commercial, and I understand it. But he's right. One, usually when people say cap rates, they're hiding behind their inexperience, in my opinion. Those people who are buying and selling multi or single family on a regular basis, the pros, like the guys that have done hundreds of these, are not coming in going, hey, I want to hit a 7 cap on this single family. It doesn't happen. So when people throw that term around, I immediately assume that there's a level of inexperience, and that they're trying to cover up for that inexperience. And that's not a good investor. You shouldn't be doing that. If you don't know something, you should go to an expert. If you're in Brian College Station, I'm the expert. Anywhere else, I'm not. But come and have the actual conversation. But don't try to act like you know more than you do, because that's just going to bite you in the long run. So yeah, cap rates in single family, not for me.
Yeah, that's a solid point. I remember when I worked in fancy steakhouses when I was in college, and I was saving money that I eventually put into buying real estate. And we learned about wine, and I knew nothing about wine. I didn't want to know about wine. I had to know about it because I needed to be good at my job. And they would teach us ways that you can spot a poser, so that you didn't embarrass the guy in front of his girlfriend or something, but you knew he does not know what you're talking about. Don't use big wine phrases. Like, when you come across this guy, you sell him Silver Oak. He's just going to know the name. He's what he's going to buy, right? And one of them was when they would call it fruity. They're like, the wine's really, all the wine snobs would just mock people that would use that phrase, because wine is made of fruit. It's grapes. Like, it's like calling it grapey. And so I just, like, that stuck with me. Like, never say fruity when talking about wine. It's an automatic, like, you don't know what you're doing. And I think cap rate is the fruity of the single family space. It is literally a term that was created in commercial real estate because interest rates go up and down. And so the value of a property will move. They needed something static that didn't move to say, this is how we measure the profitability of a thing that isn't sensitive to interest rates. And cap rate became that thing because it's independent of interest rates. If it was completely paid for with cash, this is what it would make based on what
that's how businesses are valued in a multifamily as a business. It's like a multiple of an EBITDA. How much does the gym profit? It profits $200K. Okay, well, it's worth a 3X, so it's worth $600,000. Whatever it is, that's why cap rates exist. They just, of course, real estate had to have their own word for it.
Yeah.
But your single family house is not a business.
Yeah, that's right. And when you take that baseline and you add leverage, a loan with an interest rate to it, you now have a metric that we should refer to as cash on cash return.
Sure.
That now becomes a little more specific of like, okay, what would I get for the money that I put in? Our problem in real estate is that we've taken the phrase ROI, which is a very general statement, and we've like used it in substitute for a cap rate or as a substitute for a cash on cash return. Or, I mean, like in commercial real estate, if you want to be really good about this, my mind's blinking right now. What's the phrase that we use when you're taking everything into consideration? to value a commercial property.
Like an IRR?
Yes, internal rate of return. Thank you. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Whenever people say what's the IRR? That's another one that I'm like, usually those people know what they're talking about, but I've just like used smug SOB. Yeah.
Dude, there's so much of that in commercial real estate.
I'm shooting for a 12 IRR, and this just doesn't hit it. I'm like, it's like, okay.
It's the wine snobs, aren't they irritating? They're like moving it around and they're sniffing it and they're looking at it like they know so much about it.
Mergers and acquisitions with
What about when the agency debt, instead of saying it's a Fannie Mae loan, they're like, oh, we're going to use agency debt. There's so many things like that just intimidate the newbies. And then you realize, oh, we have a word for that in single family real estate. That's not fancy at all. But they have to distance themselves from the boring, what's that, bourgeoisie? No, not what's the opposite of bourgeoisie? The proletariat. Like, oh, that's for you guys that are down there eating Burger King while we're up here with our filet mignon. So yes, if you hear someone say cap rate when talking about single family, ignore it. You're looking at cash on cash return. Yeah, when I wrote the book, 10 Ways You Make Money in Real Estate, it's called Better Than Cash Flow. I talk about like these 10 ways are really how you should be analyzing a deal. Am I buying equity? Am I forcing equity? Am I buying at a time in the market where it's more likely to go up or not go up as much? Can I force cash flow? What is the natural cash flow? That's a better metric, in my opinion, like the goggles that you should be looking at a deal through. And it's more in line with an internal rate of return. Like if I take the loan pay down, if I take the tax benefits, if I take the cash flow, if I take the future improvements by what I'm going to do, if I take the discount that I bought the property at, and I put that all together, what money am I making in this deal? A lot of deals start to look better than when you just look at the straight cash on cash return, which is how a lot of people look at it. So go check out that book if you want to sound like you know what you're talking about with real estate and you don't want to sound like the guy that says fruity when talking about wine. All right, next up, we have our featured property of the week. This is the segment where we talk about one of the properties that Coast to Coast Getaways, not to be confused with Coast to Coast Real Estate, manages. And this one is in the Smoky Mountains. And this is called Splash Mountain Pool Cabin. So as you can see here, this is a property that has a pool in the basement. It's built a couple years ago. We've improved it since then. I'll see if I can pull some pictures up of what we've done to step it up since we took over management of it. This is one that actually was in pretty good shape when we got it. Didn't need a whole lot of work. The pictures were taken in the winter, which is not my favorite. So we've got pictures scheduled for the next week or two where we're going to get the green trees and it'll look a lot nicer in the end. We put up some cafe lights around the hot tub there. So the new pictures should reflect all of that. But if you guys are thinking about making a little trip out there to the Smoky Mountains, having a family getaway, you can reach us at Coast to Coast Getaways, or you can reach out to me directly at davidgreen24.com and I will send you a link to the different properties that we're managing, whether you're going to the Smokies or South Florida, you want to go to Maui, Hawaii, you're going to Cooperstown, New York, or if you have a property that you would like us to manage, we can do that too. Let me see if I can find the other photos that I was just mentioning. All right, so here are some of the photos that I mentioned with some improvements that we made. We put outdoor dining on one of the decks. This cabin actually has 3 different decks that you can sit at when you're there. You can eat outside, hung a hammock that you can enjoy the view from. Got a couple different angles here of that. These were just taken with my phone after we put it together. You can see the hot tub right there. We'll be getting the professional pictures taken pretty soon. If you guys are having to listen to this on Apple and you can't see, I feel sorry for you, but go check it out on Spotify or YouTube. You could tell. There's a propane fire pit that we put out there, so you can light a fire, sit there, enjoy that view, maybe even roast a couple s'mores. And then I believe I put a table and some chairs on the other side of this same deck once we get through some of these pictures. That same level. So you can, yep, there we go. You get everybody all together. And then I should have some, there we go. We've got a couple extra arcade games that have been added here. And there's going to be another bunk bed that we're putting in that space. So it's one of the things I've been doing to try to like make the kids' spaces a little more fun is instead of just having like a foosball table, we're putting arcade games into the cabins and anything that can get a kid excited. I remember when I was a kid and we would go on vacation, I was introverted and I did not like hanging out with a bunch of other younger kids or adults. And so I appreciated that kind of thing. What were you like as a kid, Greg?
I remember when we would go to the beach and we'd always bring Super Smash Brothers, and the kids would sit there, and that's waiting for dinner. That was the worst thing, man. Waiting for dinner, and so we would definitely look for something to entertain ourselves. So having those arcades be there, but yeah, as a kid, I was pretty introverted, I think, till I got into sports. Lacrosse helped that, but yeah, the younger self, 10 years older, so I was pretty much kept to myself.
Definitely me too. I didn't get out of that shell until I became a real estate agent, honestly, and I had to because I had no choice. People don't like it when you're super quiet and scare them. So that is Splash Mountain Pool Cabin. You guys can go to coasttocoastgetaways.com and check out our website with some of the properties that we are managing. And when it comes to improving your average daily rate, we use dynamic pricing models. I actually have some sponsorships with different companies. They give us access to their software so that we can make sure that we're getting our customers as much money as possible. And then I do get a lot of direct bookings that come from the podcast, that come from my email, that come from my Instagram. So if we're managing your properties, not only will we have you on all of the major booking platforms with optimized pictures, as you saw when we take these things over, I'll then go in and I'll make them even better. But we can fill your calendar with direct bookings as well, which is more money for you and a benefit that not everybody has. All right, next up in our funny clips or guest bloopers segment, this is our outtakes and LOLs. We have a story from the same area where the cabin I just showed you guys is. It's in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This is in the Smoky Mountains, about a couple with a driveway that they found was too slopey. A newlywed couple staying in a cabin in Gatlinburg complained that their rental was too mountainous. They didn't expect that being in the Smokies would involve steep driveways, winding roads, etc. They ended up leaving the cabin pretty much immediately and moving downtown instead. Their complaint? The driveway was way too slopey, especially at night or when it rains. I don't know how it gets slopier at night. Maybe that was subjective. The video went viral with people mocking how obvious it should have been. So if you're renting a cabin in the mountains, yeah, slopes happen. Let's see if we can take a look at this article that we're referring to here. I love this headline. The whole mountain is very uphill. TikTok couple stunned to learn their Gatlinburg cabin is in the mountains. Okay.
What part of the Midwest are they from?
I know. That's exactly right. That's so funny. Okay, that doesn't look terrible. This driveway here, what we're seeing so far. A couple honeymooning in Gatlinburg, Tennessee has gone viral for their leaving their cabin as soon as they got there and documenting their decision-making process on TikTok. I think that's got to be the cherry on top. Like, not only did they have a ridiculous response, but they thought that everyone would be on their side.
Supporting
and so
them.
They TikToked it. Yeah. Apparently, the couple had no idea what Gatlinburg was before making the trip, and now the entire internet is chiming in on how ridiculous they sound, especially because they thought it wise to post this oversight on the most viral social media platform in history. Emily and Donald took to TikTok as soon as they got to their rental cabin and were shocked, stunned even, that the mountains were so mountainy. Okay, we're in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We just checked into our cabin and we're leaving our cabin, actually. We're going to go stay in downtown Gatlinburg. Just like that Simpsons gif. You walk in, you walk out. It's way too slopey. Let's show you what we're dealing with here. It's a beautiful view, you know. However, this is the driveway. She proceeded to take a video of the driveway, which certainly isn't flat, but it's paved and really not all that steep. I've driven and walked up much worse. For people that are in mountains, this might not be a big deal. For us who don't live in mountains, this is kind of a big deal, especially late at night. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, and this scares me. The whole mountain that we have to drive through is very uphill. The mountain they drove through was very uphill. And the guy said it was too slopey. I understand not being from the mountains, not everyone is, but you do not have the ability to know what a mountain is and use that brain of yours to visualize what that might mean in reality. I'm not from the desert, but if I was taking a trip there, I wouldn't suddenly bail out because it happened to be dry when I got there. I think the fact that they did it because they wanted a view makes it even funnier, because that's where views come from. It's from going up. Here's a couple of the comments. Please don't keep us updated. How dare the mountains be mountains, LOL. Last year I went to the beach and left after seeing all that sand and water. What we're dealing with shows a driveway. You mean to tell me the Smoky Mountains have mountains? The audacity. Drop the name off the Airbnb because I like my mountains uphill. My brother could ride his scooter up that. It's funny that the internet actually criticized him because it's more common that we sort of give empathy to people when they complain about stuff. Before we did the show, Greg, you and I were kind of talking about the condition of the world and like the baseline that people have come to expect when it comes to the world. This really does highlight that they felt like everybody would be on their side. And then that, like, I looked at that picture of driveway and that did not look intimidating to me at all.
They were wronged by the mountain. That mountain wronged them, right? Like they were hoodwinked by the mountain.
Yeah.
The mountain's been slopey in its entire existence. I'm pretty sure it's been that way.
The fact they went on TikTok to document it and then got trolled for it is my favorite part. Like there's a little bit of hope that we still have people out there that are willing to tell somebody, no, you're the problem. Your expectation was ridiculous and you should stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes me back to the Dumb and Dumber, right? That John Denver is full
I would have thought that, right? I would have thought the Rocky Mountains were rockier than this.
Yeah, I would have thought the Smoky Mountains were more mountainous. Yeah.
That is really good. We do have in our descriptions, if we have like a steeper driveway, not many of them do, but we'll put that in there. And then when somebody books it, those specific cabins have automated messages that go out through VRBO, Airbnb, Booking.com, all the places that it's listed that say, hey, FYI, this part could be windy and steep. You won't need 4-wheel drive, but if it's raining or snowing, you could have a hard time with it. Are you sure this is the cabin that you want? But if that was the one, I don't even know if I would have thought that driveway warranted a warning. There's a hotel people. There's cabin people.
They're hotel people.
And there's hotel people. That's it. All right, Greg, thank you for joining me here today. Can you let people know where they can get a hold of you if they want to reach out and talk more?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Schwartz Realty Group, and then we put out a lot of investor-based education on investing in Bryan and College Station, and so we do a new video every week and help people grow their wealth through real estate. That's what we're all about. So if you're interested in College Station, if you're an Aggie or you're just a big fan of college towns, hit us up.
What is your advice for somebody who is a real estate investor or wanting to be a real estate investor who just doesn't know what to make of a market like this that's sort of divided? Like, we don't have everybody saying buy or don't buy. What's your thoughts on how they navigate it?
You have to have a strategy call. You have to understand what it is you're trying to accomplish, and then you can find out if the market you're in can accomplish that goal. It's pretty simple. It's just a matter of to a T defining what it is you're trying to get, what you're trying to buy, what you want out of it, how long you're going to own it, and having that conversation with somebody who can guide you through that will then get you in the position where you're comfortable sitting on the sideline, which is the right move for a lot of people right now, or taking action, which is the right move for the other folks.
Good advice. Very good there. Guys, check out Greg's interview on the David Greene Show when we did a Real Talk Realtor episode. Give him a call, give him a text, give him an email, learn about the area he's in, see if that might be right for you. Greg, thanks for being here. We'll have to do this again.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, David.
All right, folks, that was the show for today. It wraps up another episode of Seeing Greene, your go-to source for real estate investing insights and market updates. If you found value today, do me a quick favor. Please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And if you think someone else could benefit from this, share it with your fellow investors, friends, or anyone curious about real estate. Do you have questions, ideas, or topics that you want me to cover? Send them my way. You can DM me on Instagram at DavidGreene24 or email me at info@davidgreen24.com, or drop a comment wherever you listen. We do look at those. Your feedback helps shape the show, so don't be shy. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, keep building that portfolio and stacking those deals.